everybody, and prepare yourselves. This might be a really long video. The background gameplay is just random stream highlights of games that were pretty good. Some will have my face on it, some won't. Sorry about that. The ones with my face on it, sorry about that. But in this video, I'm going to be giving my positive feedback and my negative feedback about the Destiny 2 beta so far. This isn't just a first impressions video. This is I've played every class and really tried to get into the nitty gritty of each class. I put a lot of time in, and this is the things that have stood out to me that I would like to be tweaked and the things that I like. So prepare yourselves, it might be really long. I will have timestamps in the description if you want to skip to a specific subject that you want to hear my opinion about. If you want to just see the positives, you want to just listen to the negatives, that will all be in the description. So let's kick things off. Now we're going to do this like a sandwich. I'm going to mention some good things, I'm going to mention some things that I think could be tweaked, and we're going to end with a positive note. So the things that I enjoy. I personally really enjoyed the strike. I think that if this is the type of strike that we will be getting through Destiny 2, that I will be very, very happy to do this as a nightfall or just grinding for loot in general. It has mechanics that you have to learn, there's different stages of the battle, and in general you have to be on your feet, you have to be aware of what's happening, and you gotta do good. A lot of people were struggling with the strike, and I can totally see why, but I personally think that that's pretty good. Although this might be really difficult for a nightfall, and that might get a little cray-cray, but I just really liked this strike. It felt epic, it felt like I was going on a journey through the planet, and I generally just really enjoyed it. The first story mission was freaking great. If this is what our story missions are going to be like through Destiny 2, I'm really happy. We have way more cutscenes. We actually get to see the heroes that we're surrounded by do heroic things. You know, we're surrounded by Zavala and Cade and Ikora and Shaxx and all these people who we hear these stories of being just these amazing heroes. And we never really got to see that in Destiny 1. They just kind of stand behind a desk or around a table and just give us loot and bounties and stuff like that. Whereas in Destiny 2, we get to see them fighting. We get to see Cade using his golden gun, Ikora using her Nova Bomb, and Zavala attempting to protect us with his bubble. He sometimes dies during the first story mission, which is really funny, actually. Sorry, it's just hilarious. But we get to actually see them in action, and that is amazing. If this is what a story is and we have a good amount of story to go along with Destiny 2, we are in for an absolute treat. Now, moving into PvP and the things that I like about PvP, I love the fact that games are more focused on gunplay. This is what people have wanted for a long time. You know, the abilities in Destiny is what makes Destiny a little bit more special and a little bit different, but nobody wants their first-person shooter to be ability spam simulator the game. That's not what we want. This Destiny 2, at least in the beta, in the Crucible, it is definitely more focused on gunplay. It's about sticking with your team and team shooting, and I like that. I like that if you have the better shot, you're most likely going to win that engagement. There's not much else that really decides that engagement, and I personally really like that. I'm also really enjoying the power ammo. I think it comes up at a pretty good rate. I might need to delve into that a little bit more and really think about that, but I do like that it is coming up frequently. So if one of your teammates ends up getting it that time, maybe you can get it the next time. I also like that if you shoot someone while they're attempting to pick up power ammo, it stops them from picking it up. So it's actually much more difficult to just run in there and rush the ammo and then run away. So you can kind of position yourself appropriately for when power ammo is coming up and be in the position to throw a grenade at them or just plink them with your gun to stop them from being able to pick it up. So I am personally enjoying power ammo. Maybe some weapons are a little more overwhelming when it comes to power ammo than others, but we only have a very small sample of weapons available to us in the beta, so maybe there's like an amazing sniper rifle and an amazing linear fusion rifle, and fusion rifles won't just be the best thing ever, so we need to see with that, but so far enjoying power ammo. And supers, the new supers actually feel incredibly fun to use when you can use them. They're super fun. I like all of the intricacies that you can do with them, like Dawnblade, you can stay flying in the air. Arcstrider has like a million different combos you can do. The Sentinel Titan, you can block, you can throw your shield, and getting that perfect bounce, the perfect bounce on the Sentinel shield is like the best feeling ever. It really is. It's such an amazing feeling. All of the supers feel incredibly awesome to use. But that kind of leads me into the feedback section of this video, speaking about supers and how great they feel to use. So talking about mostly control specifically, the rate at which we get our supers feels a little off. If you're doing amazing, you might get a super towards the middle end part of the game, but you will still only get one super per game. It is very, very, very difficult to get more than one super per game. Now, if you're performing at a level anything below amazing, you will get your super once per game, and usually that will be within the final 30 seconds of the game. Now, there's a few reasons that I don't personally think that this is currently in a good state. The first reason is that it creates a situation where literally everyone is popping their super at the exact same time, so it turns into this weird mayhem mode for the final 30 seconds. So for the first part of the game, it's like, okay, shooting people with my gun, throwing down my dodgy rolls, and then the final 30 seconds is like, daybreak, arc staff, there's a sentinel flying around, oh my god, people getting Nova bombed. It's crazy. Everyone pops it at the exact same time. This also makes you feel rushed to use your super. So instead of being able to wait for the perfect opportunity to use your super to turn the game around or make a play, you feel like you have to use it right now, causing many people to just rush into running in there with their super, which doesn't feel very fun, especially when most of the supers are actually very, very, very easy to shut down. And it's just not fun. Like when you have your super, you're like, okay, I have this powerful tool, I want to use it properly. You're thinking about the right situation. There's a bunch of people on B. I got my super, let me make this play and save B. But instead it's like, oh, it's 65 to 70. I better just use it now so I actually get to experience using the super instead of the game just ending. And I don't like that. Another reason is with supers being fairly easy to shut down, getting only one per game and getting shut down out of that one super that you get per game just ends up not feeling very fun. So what is the conclusion from this? Well, there's a few things that could be done. The most popular opinion that I've seen on Twitter and just talking to my friends is increasing the rate at which super energy accumulates across the board. Now, this would not be a huge increase, but it would be just enough to allow for more than one super per game if you're performing well. And on an average game, most people should be getting their super around the midway mark, with it being slightly more spread out based on how well you're performing. That way you don't feel super rushed to use your super. You can actually hold on to it, even if you know, hey, I'm getting one super this game. Having it midway through the game gives you more opportunities to think about when you use it in a strategic manner instead of just rushing to use your super. Another option I've heard is getting more super energy per kill or assist, and also super energy for capping zones. Now, this one comes with a lot more drawbacks than the first option. It means that games could potentially snowball too much due to someone doing really well, and for super energy on capping a point, you could end up slowing down the game of control with everyone standing on one point together, which goes against the initial control changes that Bungie made with making points cap at the same rate no matter how many people are standing on there. So it would make it just slow down. Everyone's going to run to B, everyone's going to stand directly on B, even though that's not actually benefiting the team necessarily for everyone to be on B. Everyone will stand there because they want more super energy, when the way that Bungie wants you to play control is having like one person on the cap point and the rest of the team spread out trying to stop the enemy from getting to said cap point. The positives of more super energy on kill, though, would be that it would most certainly spread out the supers much more than they currently are. You're doing really well, get your super fairly early. Doing average, you get it a little after that. Doing bad, you'll still end up getting it faster than now, and if someone on your team is doing well, you can pick up those orbs. That might turn your bad game around into a not so bad game. This also works pretty well for PvE because killing mobs will get you more super energy so you can use your super more. Now, another option, again, this is specifically about control, is just increasing the control game length. So currently the game ends when the winning team gets to 75 75 points. If you increased it to say 100 points, most people are getting their supers around the 60 to 70 point mark. You could have the potential to get your super up more than once per game if you're performing well. And again, if you're doing average, you should get it around the midway, slightly after midway mark, which I feel is way freaking better than getting it in the final 30 seconds of the game where you're feeling rushed to use it. You can't strategically think about how you use it. You can't use it the way you want to use it. You're just rushing. It just doesn't feel good. You're not making a meaningful impact. You're just hitting the button because you're rushing to use it. Generally, I would say that out of these options, I'm more in favor for a very, very slight increase of super energy regen across the board. Nothing too much to make this super spam the video game, but enough to make getting 2 supers in one game much more realistic and pushing the average time that you would get your super on an average game to around the middle way mark of the control match. Of course, within the full game's release, maybe there are armor mods to add to armor that increase super generation rate. This we do not know about. We can only talk about the very minimal things that we have experience with, but I still think it's very important to let Bungie know that the current rate we're feeling of the recharge doesn't feel quite right. It doesn't feel like it's maximized for fun, and it's important for them to just take a look at it. Now on to another regeneration topic, and that is health regeneration. It appears to be much slower than it was in D1. Now, I did watch Dado's video where he gave his first impressions. The link will be in that description. You should totally check it out. But it seemed that when he was comparing the health regeneration from D1 to D2, it seemed that it was a little slower, but nothing drastic enough to cause the feelings that a lot of players are experiencing with health regen. I know for me, especially on a hunter who doesn't have a wall to put up to protect myself and doesn't have a healing pool to stand in, I felt like I was in a gunfight, win it, then I have to hide for the next 4 trillion billion hours to get my health back. Now, I've been thinking about what could be causing this feeling of constantly attempting to get my health back and it feeling so incredibly slow. One thing is that it could very well be the map. The map that we have for control is very small, actually. It's quite a small map, and not only is it very small, but there are tons of sight lines. It constantly feels like there's someone around you shooting you and you don't know where they are and you're low health, you're trying to get your health back, you get tickled, you can't get your health back because you just got tickled, and then there's another guy across the way who's shooting you, and it's just so small and so many sight lines that it's very difficult for you to actually retreat to a safe place to wait and get your health back. Which of course is gonna make it feel like you're getting your health back super duper slow because you keep getting dinked. So it could very well be the map making these feelings of health regen being so slow even worse than it actually is. However, I do think it's important to note these feelings because even with speccing my hunter's armor for max recovery, I still felt like it took an eternity to get my health back, and it's never fun to feel like you constantly need to hide from bad guys to regen your health instead of being back into the action and fighting. Now, another thing that might be making us feel like health regen is so slow is that it is almost impossible to win a gunfight if you are not full health in Destiny 2. This actually isn't the case in Destiny 1. Speaking from a hunter's perspective, especially Night Stalker because that is what I play the most, I feel like I have a lot at my disposal to dodge around to make people miss their shots and end up coming on top, even if I started that fight with less than full health. However, with a 17-second cooldown on dodge and very rarely having a grenade available to you, plus not having Bones of AO to even attempt to really juke people in the air, there's not much outplay potential, again, furthering the feelings of panic when it comes to attempting to get your health back. You don't have full health, you can't get back in there and get into a gunfight because most likely you're going to lose. So how do we fix this? Maybe there's a full set of gear for everyone in the full game that gives us max recovery, and that feels amazing. Maybe, that's a possibility. Maybe some numbers need to be tweaked slightly to get us back into the action faster, or maybe it just won't seem that big of a deal on the larger maps. But something definitely is making me feel like, give me my damn health back, please, Bungo. I want to fight bad guys. I don't want to be running away from people constantly and hiding in the corner and waiting. Like, that doesn't feel very fun. So something is happening. Maybe there's something that happens in the full game that makes us recover faster. Maybe it's just this specific map. We don't know yet. But again, it's important to note these feelings even though we don't have access to the full game, because it's just important that Bungie knows how we are feeling about the state of the game even when it's just in beta, especially when it's in beta. Now, I just want to talk about Arcstrider really quick, because there's been a lot of talk about how the subclass feels really weak, especially the super, and that it feels very hard to close the gap without getting pooped on. I've heard a lot of talk about increasing movement speed while running with the super, kind of like the Striker Titan, but I thought of something that might be interesting. Or terrible, and I'm an idiot. But in the current Arcstrider tree, you trigger health regeneration on a melee kill if you have a full melee charge. Now what if, stick with me, what if you had a full melee charge and you popped your super, you could get that health regen trigger a la Hungering Blade for the first kill you get with your arc staff. Now this would of course consume your melee attack, so it would be on cooldown for the regular allotted time that it's on cooldown, and only allow for you to get health back on that very first kill because you are indeed having your melee on cooldown. But this would allow for you to close the gap, taking a ton of damage while attempting to close that gap. You could get a kill and have a tiny bit of a better chance to keep going to get more kills. Because as you guys know, health regeneration will start, but if you get hit, it stops that health regeneration. So you'd get a little bit of a boost with your health if you got a health back on hitting a guy, but it wouldn't just immediately take you to full health. I thought it might be an interesting idea that's maybe a little bit different from what other people have suggested, but again, I might be a complete idiot. Feel free to tell me I'm an idiot in the comment section. Don't be super mean though, because I don't want you to be mean. But feel free to offer better suggestions for Arcstrider or any of the supers if you feel that they are weak. Offer your suggestions in the comment section. Now, lastly, on my big section about feedback, I want to talk about the way that guns feel. Something feels a little bit off. Now, Destiny 1, I've always said feels amazing to shoot dudes with guns. The gunplay just feels really crisp and really smooth. Whereas Destiny 2, at least in the beta, seems to be missing some of that question mark. Sometimes I'll shoot at someone and it's so smooth it feels like I was team shotting with someone, but I most certainly wasn't. I am always usually a lone wolf getting wrecked or wrecking people, depending on what's happening. But I was definitely by myself shooting that guy. Other times it feels like I'm in a hefty battle with my weapon trying to get it to actually hit something. Now, I don't know what's causing this. Maybe it's some server instability, maybe hit detection is a little bit off. I have no idea, but it is a sentiment that I have seen being shared by many people who are currently playing the beta. Something just feels off. Something's making the gunplay not feel as buttery smooth as Destiny 1 does. Now, this is a huge thing for me. This is the biggest of all of my things. Like, I could totally deal with having slower health regen. I could deal with a lot of things, but with Destiny 1, I was always so impressed with the gunplay. I always thought it was amazing. It was crisp, it was smooth. I was shooting a guy and I knew why my shots were hitting and why my shots were missing. I know what was going on. Whereas currently in the beta, it feels like it's kind of RNG if I'm actually hitting someone, because sometimes I'll be in a gunfight, I'm hitting the dude, it's great. I'll be in the exact same situation and nothing's happening, and I don't understand why. Is it flinch? Is it hit detection? Like, what is it? I don't understand. Maybe we could get some dev clarification on what could be causing this feeling, and then maybe that would make us feel a little bit better just so we can understand what's going on. But it definitely doesn't feel as crisp or smooth as I personally feel it should. So in closing, there are a few things that I would love Bungie to look into and make some tweaks with. I love that the Crucible is way more about using your guns than starting with a grenade throw and an instant killing melee. I don't like that. This is what we wanted. We're experiencing what we wanted, and that is amazing. Now, when I'm asking for more supers, I'm not asking it to be mayhem. I'm not asking for 5 supers per game. I just think that it would be much better if you get your super mid-game with the possibility, the actual realistic possibility of getting a second super within that game, especially with how easy they are to shut down those supers. You don't want to get your super, get shut down, and you're like, well, guess I gotta wait till next game, the end of next game. I'm also super looking forward to the second skill trees in most of the subclasses. They look amazing. Like, I think Bungie's done a really great job with some of these subclasses. I've read through them and I'm like, that's really interesting. So I can't wait to get my hands on that. I'm very, very, very excited about that. I think I covered everything. Probably not. I'm probably going to listen back to this video and I'm going to think about something and be like, oh my god, why didn't I include that in the video? Now we got to make another video. Though I'm not going to make the video because I'm not going to make another one of these 50 million minutes videos. But guys, please do use the comment section of this video to leave your constructive feedback. I know for a fact that Bungie is listening to the feedback that is being given. I've heard plenty of people say that they're getting great feedback from everybody. So it is so incredibly important to voice your opinion, but make sure that you do it whether you are happy, whether you're upset about something. Make sure you explain why you like that thing. Make sure you explain why you don't like that thing. It's very important to give a well thought out constructive feedback so Bungie can actually understand why you are feeling the way that you are about the game. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope we can get some super cool conversations in the comment section. And I will speak to you awesome people later. Bye.